Hi, it's Debbie from I-crochet. Before we get started on Cade's blanket, it's an almond ridge or almond ridges stitch. You'll have 2 rows with the half double crochet and 2 rows with slip stitch, and then you switch to 2 rows of half double and 2 rows of slip stitch. So this is what makes this wavy pattern. This 100% cotton by Premier is so soft. It's chunky. It's a super bulky 6 weight. And one thing I did want to show you, it's easier for me to go to the front, the right side, where your chain tail is on the left, to make sure that I had 2 rows and I need to switch to the next row. It's a little different on the back. You'll see this line. Once you get past the first row, everything is worked in the back loop only. I think that's all I wanted to tell you about this, so let's get started. Okay, so this is the yarn I use, Premier Chunky Cotton. It is only 50 yards for each skein, but also it was only $3.99, $3.99 per skein on their website. I was able to find a 20% off coupon online, and that almost took care of the shipping cost. It does take a little bit of time, a week or so, for it to ship, so give yourself some time. The color that I did use for my blanket is called white, but it's really an off-white. This is light pink, pale pink, and I used this to make a bath mat because I wanted a 100% cotton bath mat. So I'll show you that in another video. So let's get started on this pattern. The chain is a multiple of 8 plus 5 more chains at the end, and my blanket I chained 85, and it ended up being a 34-inch by 34-inch blanket with 10 skeins of the chunky cotton, so 500 yards. All right, let's get going. All right, our pattern is going to be 4 slip stitch. Let's go into this chain. It is better, I think, if you go into the back bump of the chain, which is just this back horizontal bar behind your chain. So 4 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. See how that gives you a nice edge there? And now 4 half double crochet. Again, I'm going into the back bump there. 1, 2. If you get lost with your back bumps, just turn it back over. There's your next chain. Turn it over, and there's your back bump. I'm using a 10mm hook. You could use anywhere from an 8 to a 10 would work. If you get lost on how many you have, it's easy to find your half double crochet. I had a harder time finding my slip stitches. Sometimes I had to rip it out and get back to my half double so I could see where my slip stitches started. 1, 2, 3, and I need 4. So it's always going to be 4 and 4. And now back to 4 slip stitches. 1. Obviously this is just a small sample size to get you started on your pattern. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4. And you should end up whatever you started your row with, because some rows will start with half double, some rows will start with slip stitches. whatever you started the row with, that's what you'll end up. Because we started with 4, 1, 2, 3. We started with 4 slip stitches. We're going to end with 4 slip stitches. And then you know you've done your pattern correctly. If not, you probably missed a stitch or added a stitch. 2, 3, and 4. Again, I'm using this color because I ran out of the other color. I used 10 skeins exactly and ended up with a 34 by 34 inch blanket, which is great for a newborn. It's also super cushy and good for a floor time, tummy time blanket. So this is how it starts to look. And your edges, your top and bottom, or side to side, if you decide to go vertically with it, I'm going horizontally, you're going to have a little bit of a scalloped edge there. So turn, and you're always going to have 2 rows of the same pattern. So we're going to go just like we did here, but back loop only. Slip stitch, make sure you go into that back loop only. Slip stitch, it's easier to find it if you flip your work over. 3 and 4. As long as your count is right, you're correct. It is starting to work up, so sometimes that gets confusing. So now we need 4 more half double, back loop only. There you go. 1, 2. Keep your stitches really loose. 1, it helps to go in to the stitch in the next row, and 2, it just helps keep your pattern from bunching up. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and back to slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I would suggest that you do a little sample size first to get used to the pattern, and once you feel comfortable with it, start your blanket. If you want your blanket to be bigger, then obviously if you're using another yarn. This is super bulky 6-weight. I'm not sure if I told you that. Make your chain a good bit bigger than you want, 6-10 inches bigger than you want it to be, because this pattern definitely pulls in. When I started, it was 40 something inches, and it ended up being 34 inches. Excuse me. Oops, and turn it over. There's my back loop. Everything will be back loop only now. Make sure I did that right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bunch back loop. Back to slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. When I get to the end, I like to include this loop from the previous row.
That should have been a slip stitch right there.
From having any gaps or holes at the side, and it helps keep this straight. Chain 1. Okay, we have our 2 rows. See what I was talking about on the back? You'll see that line. Sometimes I wasn't really sure, and I had to turn it over, and I'm like, oh yes, I have 2 rows. So now I want to switch. Instead of slip stitches, we're going to begin with 4 half double crochet, and we'll end with 4 half double crochet. So we're just switching the pattern, and you'll do that after every 2 rows. So 4 half double, there were a few times when I missed a stitch, and I had to go back. So you really do have to count. This particular yarn, it's a little bit hard to pull out, which is good. Let's see. I did my 4 slip stitches. Now I'm heading back to 4. Oh, there's my dogs. 1, 2, 3. That's why I speak so softly in here. I don't want them to hear me. 1, 2, 3, 4 slip stitches, and you're going to end with 4 half double. 1, 2, again, turn it over. Sorry for that noise. I know that's very distracting. They're barking at my son's dog. All right, I think they're over it. I'm on my 4th. A little hard to see that last stitch. It's right there. Half double, and then find 1 loop from the row before. Go in there. You have to wiggle it through. Bring your loop up even. Pull through all 3 loops and chain 1. See how that keeps it nice and even? And there's no weird gaps there. So because I only have 1 row, I'm on my right side. And you know, because your tail is on the left. I know I had 2 rows here, but I only have 1 row of the half double here. So I need to make my 2nd row with this pattern. Back loop only. So 4 half double, 2, 3, and 4. I will say this is one of the easiest skeins I've ever had to find the center pole for. It comes right out. And back to 4 slip stitches. And continue on. And that's what it's going to look like. Partway through, you're probably going to question yourself. You're going to think, did I do that correctly? Just look at it in different lighting, move it around a little bit, and you'll see that pattern. I do want to show you. I'm going to go get another piece of yarn because I want to show you a way that you can join the yarn, because you will run out of yarn in the middle of a row. I did try to just tie them together, and you could really feel the knot through here. I didn't like that, especially for a baby blanket. This is for my nephew. My nephew's baby. He and his wife had a baby named Kate. This is Kate's blanket, not this pink one, the white one. And I didn't want any knots, so I'm going to come back and show you just a different way, 2 different ways actually, that you can join in the middle of the row. I cut my yarn, which I hated to do, but I want to show you how you can join your yarn in the middle without making a knot. And I'm using the white only to show you, to make it clear. I'm going to loop the working yarn, the one I just had to cut. I'm going to loop it over here and leave the tail over here. It's going to seem awkward. You can leave yourself a longer piece if you like. So I was just working into half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over with just the one loop there. Go into my back loop. Now I'm going to catch both. Bring it through. It is going to be a little thicker. I did it several times throughout my blanket and it looks just fine. You can now drop this tail and pull through like you normally would. You can just work over your yarn for now if you want to, or go back into that back loop, pull through. Now take that tail. This is what I like to do because it helps lock it in. If you tried to take this stitch out now, you'd have to work at it. And when you come along in the next row, go ahead and work over this piece. And also, if you have any left from this piece, this can just be woven in just a little bit. Normally I do leave a longer piece than that. But you can see it's a little bit thick, but not terrible. Okay, so that's one way. Let me show you how hard it is to pull that out. It's in there. You have to work at it. Let me find that tail. So it's very secure. Again, not sure if I mentioned it or not. I have to redo some of my videos here and there, so I'm not sure what I said when, but it is 100% cotton, so you wash it in cold water and don't put it in the dryer. You don't want this to shrink after you went to all that work. So another way is to start your next stitch, and just like you would do if you were changing colors, you don't pull through the last loops. I find it a little easier to do this on the half double crochet stitches, but you can certainly do it on the slip stitches. All right, let's pull that over. So you're going to make yourself a loop, pull through the remaining loops. I would go ahead and give yourself a little loose tie there, and then just work over those. Again, I'm using a different color yarn just to show you. Go into that back loop. So you would have the same color yarn and it would just disappear under here. You can also do the same little trick with bringing it through. Bring it through all those loops. Pull through. This is what happens if you pull a lot on this yarn. It's cotton. So I had 1, 2, 3, and you can just on the other side just cut that. Wherever you have the shortest piece, just cut it. You're not going to be able to tell. So those are two different ways that you can join the yarn, because you will run out of yarn in the middle of the rows. Never happened to me at the end of the row, of course. Again, if you want to make a knot, you can, but I could not hide it. I tried and tried, I could not hide it. Okay, well that is the pattern. As I said, I used 10 skeins, 50 yards each, so 500 yards. And at 85 chains to begin with. It ended up being a 34 by 34 inch. There's a fuzzies blanket. There's the back. There's the front. The front leaves a little kind of pocket in between the half double crochets. And I really love this edge that it leaves. And because mine is square, it could be top or bottom. I did consider trying to make the same on the edge, the straight edge, but it looks really nice. I don't think you need it. I do think it's a good idea to go into that extra loop at the end, because if I didn't do that, I was ending up with some weird little gaps. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I think it's going to make a lovely blanket for newborn, for stroller, and especially for a tummy time, floor time blanket, because it's really cushy. So soft. One of my next videos, I will show you how to make a bath mat or rug with this yarn. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Leave it in the comments. If you have a nice comment to leave, that makes my day. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.